In the construction stage of our coursework, we didn't use a large number of technologies, but we did use technologies that were very complicated. When creating the music video, we used my Canon EOS 650D with a Nikkor 50mm f1.8 lens and a Canon 18 to 55mm lens with a varying f-stop. We use this camera for a number of reasons. Firstly, it produces a high quality 1080p image, which is slightly better than the 1080i that the college's industry cameras produce. One of the main reasons for using this camera was that it uses an SD card instead of a DV tape, which made it a lot easier and a lot quicker to upload the footage because we didn't have to capture the footage from the tape. We wanted to use the Nikkor 50mm lens as much as we could because it's a much faster lens than the Canon, so it produces a much nicer image. However, we ended up having to use the 18 to 55mm lens more because it's a lot more versatile. We feel that we were very effective with this camera because we had been using it since we started the coursework, so we had already had a lot of experience with it. Unfortunately, we did have a couple of problems with the camera. The first was that in the dark/night scenes we had to have the ISO set at 1600, which meant that the image was quite noisy. The second problem occurred when we were filming the car scenes. Because there were a lot of people in the car, it got quite hot, which ended up fogging the lens when I filmed from inside the car. We combated this by wiping the lens every few minutes, but it was still an inconvenience we could have done without. We also used a fluid head tripod to get smooth, steady shots when we needed them. For editing the music video, we used Adobe Premiere Pro. The main reason for this is that we had used it throughout the coursework, so had experience with it, but there were also many other reasons. Firstly, Adobe programs all link with each other, which came in very handy when editing sound. All you have to do is right-click on a clip in the timeline and open it in Adobe Audition, and it will automatically update in Premiere Pro. This was very useful because it meant we weren't constantly opening and closing programs, which saved us time. Another reason we use Premiere Pro is that it has several options for color correction and color grading, which allowed us to improve the color of our video by adding contrast and brightness accordingly, and adjusting the colors of highlights, midtones, shadows through the effects panel. We all became very good at using the selection tool and the cut tool, as we had to use them every time we inserted a new clip. At the beginning it would take us around 5 minutes to add and adjust a new clip, but by the end of our editing process we were doing it all in around 2 minutes, making the whole editing process a whole lot faster. Lighting was, by far, the newest technology to me because I hadn't had much experience lighting scenes outside of the theatre. During the day scenes we just used natural light, sometimes with a bounce board. Lighting the performance and car scenes was a lot more difficult. Being that we were in the middle of a field for the performance, we decided to get a generator to power the lights. We used 2 floodlights to light the faces and 2 backlights for effect. When we started filming, we found that I had to stand in certain places so that I didn't cast a shadow over the band, which was quite difficult at times. Even though we had some problems, I think the lighting was very effective because it gave a nice feel to the shots and it matched our genre. To light the car scenes, we used 1 light to light the faces and 2 lights to light the back seats. Luckily, we were able to get power from the house, which meant it was a lot easier than the performance section. I also came up with the idea to swivel my LED light panel to create the effect of street lights to make it look like the car was moving. In the end, I think it was very effective. If we were to make this music video again, I think I would look into better ways to light the scenes, possibly with different rigs and more versatile lights, so that they can be dimmed. I would also look into using gels to colour the lights to give more atmospheric effects. Red light coming from one side and dimmed white coming from the other would make the subject look slightly evil, which would of course match our genre of music. When we created the Digipack, we used a few different technologies. Not quite as many as the music video because it was not as big a project. One of the more prominent technologies that we used was Adobe Photoshop. Being that we had used this program a lot when creating our AS Media coursework, we were all fairly competent at using it. We found it easier to use tools such as the Move tool, Shape tool, Marquee tool, and the Selection tool. However, I became a lot better at using adjustment tools such as curves, levels, and brightness and contrast to make an image more effective. We used my camera to take the photographs for the Digipack because we had already used it a lot in the making of the music video, so we knew all of its ins and outs. When taking the photographs for the Digipack, I made sure to set the camera up so that it took 1 JPEG image and 1 RAW image. The reasoning behind this is that the RAW image are a lot higher quality, but they can't be viewed unless they are opened in Photoshop. So taking a JPEG image as well means that you can preview the image before opening it in Photoshop. Another technology that we used quite a lot when making our digipack is a website called dafont.com. We used this website to get all the typefaces that matched our genre. We did this because the typefaces that come with the programs like Photoshop are very simple and not very fitting to the rock genre of music. We originally wanted to create our website using Adobe Muse because it had a lot of tools available to use. However, it would have meant paying for server space, which we weren't able to do. Because of this, we did some research and found 3 websites where you could create your own website: Wix, IamCreator, and Moonfruit. We had a go at all 3, but decided to use Moonfruit because it was the easiest to use and was most promising for us to create a professional website. We found out it was very useful to have an online creator because it allowed us all to work on the website from home. For the titles and specific typefaces, I used Photoshop to create portable network graphics, or PNGs, that we could then upload to the website as images that did not include the white backgrounds that JPEGs create when they are saved. This was very effective because it meant that we didn't have to use the generic designs and typefaces that were provided by the creator, meaning that our website was a lot more genre specific. Another technology we used when creating the website was another website called Photosnack. This website allowed us to very easily upload some images and create a very professional looking slideshow, which we could then embed into the Moonfruit website. I had to use Photoshop to resize the images using the crop tool, so that they were long and thin enough to look good on the website. Having the slideshow on the website helped us to create more brand identity, as we were able to show more images of the artist. To take the photographs, we once again used my camera, as we had already gotten a lot of experience with it. I took the majority of the photos on manual mode, as it is a much more versatile mode, giving me the control of shutter speed, ISO and aperture, allowing me to take high quality images such as the ones we used on the background for our website. Finally, HTML played a small part in the making of our website. We were able to place widgets such as the Twitter feed and music player for more interactivity. It was a very simple process of placing the widget, getting the HTML code from another website, and pasting it in the edit box of said widget. We ran into a few problems to do with the sizing of the widgets, but found out a solution, which was to go into the HTML code and adjust the dimensions.